This tree is the Canby oak, and I like it a lot. We're going to plant one here and see how it does, but it's growing all over Texas already, and I'm pretty sure. I just want to see how it does in my place. To plant this tree properly, we've got to get down to the top of the ball, and the way we do that is we rake this excess soil off the top. This will be the case, the condition in almost every tree that comes out of the nurseries, especially if they're container grown. But even the bald and burlap trees, you need to remove the burlap from the top and remove this excess soil from those trees too. Somebody needs to come up with a handheld air spade, like a big powerful hair blower. You can see these little roots here that I'm breaking. These are roots that are above the true top of the ball. We're going to pull them and cut them away because those are the ones that become girdling roots on down the road. There's a good one there, see? We're getting down pretty close now where we can measure the ball and see exactly how deep the hole needs to be. Normally I would say not to dig the hole until you do this and measure the ball, but in this case we had to get rid of the stump, so we didn't have any option. And in this case we may even have to fill a little bit in with native soil, pack it really well, and set the tree nice and high so that if settling happens it won't get too low again. You can see the very dramatic flare, not just this up here, but this flare going into the main roots. That's the part that we want to have exposed. But this is what I mean when I say get down to the true top of the root ball. You can see that I've removed almost 3 inches of soil, and this tree had a little bit of flare showing. It looked pretty good. So if the tree's going into the root ball straight, or I should say coming out of the root ball straight, just like a telephone pole or a fence post, that means it's way too deep in the soil and you need to get a whole lot of the soil off so the flare shows. And if some of the stump is left in the hole, that's not a problem. You wouldn't want to dig the hole in the middle of a great big stump so that there was wood all the way around. But if there's just a little bit of the roots, pieces of the stump left in the hole, that's not a big problem. People ask me often if you have to move the new tree, and if so, how far away from the old stump. Not any at all. It can go right in exactly the same spot. I'd like this face right here, right at the pool. All right, there we go. If it ends up being a little higher than we measured, that's fine. I'd rather it be too high than too low. I kind of like that height.
Yeah, I like that too.
I like it good and high like that. One of the things we're having to do here that's different, normally I would say to only put the soil that came out of the hole back in around the tree. In this case we didn't have any soil because we had to take out all of that root system of the Chinese pistachio that used to be here. So in this case we're bringing soil, native soil, from on the back part of my property, so it's as similar to the soil here in this part of the yard as possible. I want to wash just a little bit more of that soil off the flare there too. One of the keys to survival of a new tree is to, one, get it planted at the right height, and the second thing is to get it watered in really thoroughly, completely saturated. Make sure, this one, as you saw when I was uncovering the root flare, was really good and moist. If it's not, you need to soak it in water or run a hose on it prior to putting it in the hole, and then flood the area completely like I'm doing with the hose. And if you do it that way, you'll almost never lose a tree. Our next step would be to put the mulch on the disturbed area here, and what I recommend is a very thin layer of compost followed by shredded cedar, and be sure and don't pile it up on the flare of the tree. Let it be very thin to zero at the base of the tree and then get thicker as it goes away from the trunk. Shredded mulch is by far the best because it locks into place and won't wash away or blow away like pine bark does. But the shredded cedar is by far the best because of the fragrance and insect repelling that it has. And it breaks down into compost better than any other kind of mulch, and thus helps grow the tree. No mulch on the crown will keep it totally away, and then let the mulch get thicker as we go away from the tree trunk. Voila, the proper way to plant a tree.